times in music, when we don't realize it, nothing's happening until the direction on the screen tells us to do something. For instance, right now, we have no idea whether the movie that we're about to watch is going to be scary, or if it's going to be happy, sad, comedy. We have no idea. A lot of the premise that I'm going to be working with today, when we're talking about scoring for film, is the notion that nothing happens unless the third says it does. Hey guys, my name is Jonathan Price. Welcome to an amazing Tech Thursday. And if you are just joining us, this is our third week in scoring for moods. And when we're talking, we will be talking about the wheel of emotion. And this wheel of emotion, I've been using for years to get directors to tell me exactly what it was that they were wanting to convey to the audience. So the first week we talked about the general overview of emotion and how it plays a part in music. So we briefly hit on these 7 internal, and we are going through each and every individual little internal emotion, overarching emotion. And last week we talked about surprised, and we talked about the use of chromatic medians and how these can really play a part in moving from one end of the spectrum to another. So we went from energetic to shocked, and we had a really good conversation as to how that works. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the overall emotion of feeling bad. So something may have happened to you, and we're going to look at things like tired, stressed, busy, bored, indifferent, apathetic, pressured, rushed, overwhelmed, out of control, sleepy, and unfocused. So in this little intro that I theatrically did for you, you can laugh at it all you want. You can comment and say, hey, that was totally retarded, and you're probably right. So when we look at these in that little intro, I wanted to show you that in my opinion, the absolute most important note in any chord when dealing with emotion is in this order. Number 1's the third. So you can't have any sort of emotion, or you have no idea what emotion that you're trying to convey to your audience until you have that third, regardless of what chord it is. Even if I were to play a hollow open chord, you have no idea what that is. We don't know if it's major, minor, augmented, diminished. Augmented and diminished we can kind of figure out because diminished has a flat 5, augmented has a raised 5. Anyway, I'm off track already. So the third, we have no idea what mood the movie is going to be. We have no idea what is going to be happening within said movie until we give the audience a third and something to relate to. It's very interesting that the third is used in all sorts of cultures, and they relate. A lot of cultures relate the tone and the attitude of music to the attitude of your soul, the attitude of your being. And so it's interesting that when we play a minor chord, people will typically say, oh, well, that's very sad sounding. And when you play a major chord, that's very happy sounding. Well, if you voice them correctly, you can make major chords sound sad, and you can make minor chords sound happy. It's a very funny phenomenon, and we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit later. So we go into, so let me pull this wheel back up here. So this is kind of a hard one to describe. Most of the time, you're going to be, when you're dealing with a director and they say, hey, we need this person to, they're not going to really say they're going to feel busy. We need this to, they may say, we need this to sound more busy. We need it to sound more apathetic or overwhelmed. The character is overwhelmed. So how do we get that? Well, I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. And a lot of this is based on instrumentation, using notes that can go between multiple amounts of chords, things like that. So this first example I'm going to show you is, I'm just going to play some notes here, and I'm not going to really have a chord structure to the notes. The notes I'm going to use are C, E, F, G. Okay, so inherently that is a major chord. Okay, if I were just to play that, that sounds like a major chord with a suspended, or with a fourth. Okay, so suspended fourth, which can go a lot of different ways. And so I'm going to show you, but by just using these notes in an arpeggiated style, how you can create a bad emotion and turn it into good, or we can move all over that spectrum. So we're going to kind of move on this spectrum all over the place. So if you don't have this wheel, go ahead and download it, print it off or whatever, so you can kind of, I don't want to keep going back and forth between these screens. Well, I'll just keep it up for right now. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to play this little melody, and it's very simple. Okay, so if we put that up really high, it can sound like the beginning of almost any Disney classic feel-good story, romantic comedy, maybe some sort of like, what is that, Gulliver's Travels, or there's some other movies that kind of use this type of motif. It's a melody that doesn't really focus on one chord progression. It can fit both either major and minor. So we're gonna look at the major one first, because we're gonna get into the bad sounding emotions here in a second. So this is over a major chord. If I were to play a C chord, just a basic root C chord. And it's important when you guys are trying to find melodies and rhythms and arpeggiations and ostinatos and things like that, to find something that are close together that can bridge multiple chords at the same time, because I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of this. You're going to get sick of hearing it. I already know I am. So if we play just this major chord, and we just go down the scale, or we go down the scale, and that chord works. That's a G major, a B in the bass, to A minor. A minor works because we have two of those same notes in the chord, and we also throw the seventh up there. G works, but it's not very strong, because we're not even using any of the chords except for G, or the notes except for G in the chord. You can kind of add the seventh, but it's not very strong. F is a really strong one. Play it up here. This is strong because it has the F and the C. and also has a second in there. So if you can play an F2, or you can play an F2, that suspended 4 or the 7th in the key of C is really strong. Okay, so you can do things like that with all these chords. Now let's go to the converse. Let's go to the minor. Okay, we'll start on A minor, not changing the melody. We just completely changed the emotion of the piece. We went from magical and happy to something a little more somber, even if I played in the same tempo. Okay, so even if you play fast, a lot of these are also going to be reliant on tempo and what range the melody is played in. So if I'm playing it in this range, I'm probably going to have a string bed underneath it supporting what's going on. So you have that. So let me play through the progression a little bit. So you can get a lot of places just by using one melody and one either the major or the minor chord progression. So let's kind of dive into some of these sounds that can change with either the melody or the chord progression. So let's start with bad, and let's think of, okay, we have tired, stressed, busy, and bored. When we look at just those words, it's kind of hard to think of, okay, well, what is something tired? And you think of, right? So you think of tired, sleepy sound. A lot of times if you were to use, pads and strings and things that are very sustained, you can get this sort of sound. And so I'm going to switch over here to some of my strings, and we're going to talk about, let me pull my wheel back up. We're going to talk about how we get these sounds. And most of these emotions are going to be used by using sustained instruments, pads, whatever have you. So let's look at this. Tired feeling. We can go basically anywhere on the keyboard. We can go, if we're talking about, we'll just do the masculine and feminine. You have two different sides of this. So typically if you're scoring let's just say a gentleman has lost his job. He's exhausted. Maybe he hasn't lost his job. Maybe it's just a hard day at work. He's just exhausted and he's tired, and he just comes in and he plops down on the couch, and nothing else is really happening. He may turn on the TV. It may be in the background, and this just may be a contemplative thing that happened just over the day. So you can get away with a lot by not playing any third. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play just an open C chord with a fifth. I probably wouldn't put it up there if it's a guy, so I might put it down here. Okay, so we don't know what kind of day he's had. We may have known from the previous scene, so let's just say he's had a bad day. So we're just going to go the cliche C minor. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is very cliche, and audiences eat that up. It's so important that you guys realize that as complicated as you want to get with music, a lot of audiences have no idea musically what in the world you're doing. It doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter. So bring the audience along with you. Give them the chord that they want to hear. If you think, oh, I can't just do a straight minor chord, why not? The audience wants to hear it. That's how they know that they're going to be listening to a sad song, a sad mood. That's how you tell them how to feel. People, when they go to the movie theaters, are just dumb. They go to the theater to escape real life. They want to be engrossed in something that in their real life isn't maybe what's on the screen. So they want to escape whatever it is that's going on in their life, or maybe they want to enhance something that's going on in their life, and they want to be told how to feel, and they will feel it. So if you guys give them, if it's supposed to be a sad cue, and you give them this whole that doesn't help them at all. That's not going to give them exactly the feeling that they're wanting. Nor is the director going to say, hey, look, that's not even close. We got to get more sad. We need to get more stressed and tired and all that kind of stuff. So, a little bit of a rant there. Let's go to tired. So, the thing that I love to do is I love these open chord voicings. I try to stay away from as much as possible these closed voice. So if you have this G, let's do C. So what I like to do is if I have a root chord, I like to open it up by throwing the third on top. Composers all over the place are guilty of this, or that's how you get that big, nice, wide Hollywood sound, just FYI. So by having these wide open voicings, you can do a lot of really cool melodic and chord structures, and it's easier for the audience to follow along because there's a lot of space for their ears to pick out certain notes. Now, they're not thinking about it, but it's how their brain works. So if I'm going to start on C minor. So we kind of have this tired, stressed, maybe he's overwhelmed, unfocused. We're in this side of the wheel right here. I'm just going to play a little bit. I just want you to kind of see what's happening with these notes that I play. So we'll keep an eye on the piano down below, and you'll kind of see what I'm doing. I'll try to sustain these in because I'm also using a sustain pedal. So here we go. And you can leave them on a hook, or you can just give them. This is a great example of did something change in his life, or give him that. Nice big 5-to-1. People absolutely love, unless it's in horror, then you can kind of get away with this, or suspense. These full cadences. And when I mean a full cadence, I mean anything from like a 5-to-1. So if I give you a big 5/7 chord. love that. They eat that stuff up. Doing the deceptive cadence is what gets them all riled up. So you had no idea. Like, oh my goodness, now your brain is all over the place. Because now nothing is finished and you're like, wait, where did we just go? Okay. So we can use those open chords and these nice sustained beds and pads and stuff to get a lot of this tired, stressed, overwhelmed, and out of control kind of feeling. So I'm going to record actually. So let's kind of move into some of this busy, bored, pressured, rushed, apathetic, and different. I would maybe put these more on kind of this side of the wheel. But I understand how kind of if you're bored, how that sort of feeling goes together. But if I'm just talking about these, I might put these in a little bit different order, but that's just me. So when we talk about adding busy and bored and feeling rushed and pressured, a lot of this is internal, like if you think of like your blood pressure kind of rising, you think of that kind of stuff just kind of coming up and you feel this antsy, like I have no idea where my food is going to come from because my paycheck was short, I've been garnished, or I lost all the money gambling, or my wife left me, my husband left me, my spouse left me. It doesn't matter. Those kind of things are internal, like physiological emotions and feelings that we can tangibly say, okay, yes, we know exactly where that's coming from. Here's how we relate this. So when we score this, we think of things like, I think of things like tremolo strings, light percussion, and I mean like ticking, something that's kind of constant, that's not it's almost irritating to a point, not really like bothersome irritating, but man, I just don't like this. This doesn't feel comfortable, this doesn't feel good, but it's something that's there that's just kind of gnawing at me, kind of thing. So one of my favorite libraries that I got is this Olafur Arnold's these evolutions, and I think it's the analog strings, I don't remember, but this is one of my favorite patches, this ebb and flow patch. Anyway, so we have this, it kind of gives it that great, I'm just going to let it play for a second and look at these emotions. Just this, and this is the important part of sound design, is having it run back and forth and using volume can really create these senses of rushed and busy and pressured, apathetic and indifferent, especially if you're using like open thirds or like sixths. I don't know, but that to me sounds really pressured and rushed, stressed, busy. Okay, so things like that. So things like that are a little bit grating. One of my favorite tricks that I like to use is, and this is in Logic, so I'm not sure where it would be in some of your other libraries, but one of the things that I really love to use is this. Where is it? Rotor cabinet. There it was. This rotor cabinet. Man, I love this thing. So I'm going to put it on the strings. Actually, let me go back here. Put it on the strings, and I'll show you what it does. So this is they typically used for organs, just to move sound all over the place. And in this rotor cabinet, let me just find a preset here. Moving pads, because that's what we're kind of going after, right? Okay. So this rotor cabinet has a drum in the back of it, and it just kind of spins, and the mics pick up how the sound is being thrown around in the box. And so when you play sustained chords and things like this, you can get a lot of really cool stuff going on. And so I like to use this a lot when it comes to things that are feeling bad or stressed out or scary or anything like that. So it's a good tool to use. And if you have something like that, I don't know what Ableton has or any of DAW. So try these different sound design aspects. And I am not in any way a fabulous sound designer. I'm not even close. But I can experiment, and that's a lot of what sound design is. It's just experimenting. So let's look at some of these others. So we have this rush pressure. A lot of the stuff that you can use are these solo instruments. So we've already done piano, and we come over to this cello. Things that are in these medium range that are super lyrical, and if you have these overarching like landscapes or things that are sad, these escapes that are bad or sad or that are apathetic or stressed or tired or things like that. The cello and the bassoon, I know that's a weird one to think of as a solo instrument, but a bassoon, oboes is kind of getting into a little bit higher register. Clarinets, violas, if you dare write for a solo for a viola, they will like do flips. It's pretty cool to watch. All you viola players, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when we play this cello, maybe I don't have it up. Okay, I don't know what happened. There it goes. What? Sorry, hold. Okay, so I don't know what it's doing. Apparently it doesn't like me. I'm sorry. So I'll have to go back and figure out what in the world is going on. Those types of instruments can be really, really useful when trying to convey a melodic sort of sad emotion. I'll go back to the strings and take off that rotor. So just imagine kind of a cello playing that sort of line. The other thing, so when I talked earlier about some sort of pulse, some sort of rhythm, some sort of ticky-tack or anything like that, these sorts of instruments, and this is another patch that I love. This is from Signal, Light and Steady. So if I play just a simple... If I just play that one single note, you begin to feel maybe a little stressed that nothing else is happening, rushed, maybe out of control. It's important to note that when you're using some of these presets, that you listen very carefully to a single note, because there's a lot of stuff happening. If you can hear very carefully, there's a couple of different rhythms going on. You have that ticking eighth. But then also below that, you have this kind of thing going on. So it creates this little tension. You have eighths over triplets. Okay, and then you have this syncopation in just the rhythm itself, but then you also have the accents of the eighth notes that are playing. And they're kind of random. So you never really know where exactly one is after a little while. Okay, so things like that can add a whole lot of tension and stress and that kind of stuff that is bad sounding. So if you have a director who comes to you and say, yeah, this is really, really good. The piano sounds good. The strings sound good, but it just needs to be a little bit more, I don't know, pressured or busy, or he's feeling a little bit more stressed. So can we add, I don't know how you do that, but just see if you can do that. As a composer, you're thinking, what? Unless you have this wheel and unless you understand what instruments can and will do certain things, certain registers, certain orchestrations, different things like that. So let's write a little bit of music. Let's do something with this beat pad and strings, and maybe I'll add some piano for the melody. So let's just do 8 bars here. I'm not sure what tempo. Is this a good tempo? It's a little slow. What do I want? Let's go a little bit quicker. One thing that I really like in Logic, and this is just a side note for those of you who are looking for a new DAW. One thing that I really love in Logic that I use as an orchestrator is when I'm playing chords and I'm not entirely sure where I want to go. If you look up here where it says, right here, it says no in, no out. If I play just a sustained chord and hold down the pedal, it will keep that C minor in there, and I can just think, okay, C minor. And if I wanted to orchestrate that chord, but I'm playing this and I was like, what in the world kind of chord is this? I can just look up and see, oh yeah, C7, 9, suspension, sus4. That's a really cool chord to get to a lot of different things, that suspension. So even by taking out one note, that G adds a lot, even though it's not really a perceivable note. Okay. Anyway, but sorry, I digress. I get really crazy about this kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and record something. So we're going to go into this light and steady thing, and we'll hit record with one note. So when I played it earlier, it kind of sounded like that first note, that bump, 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 that the faster one was playing the 8th note of whatever the tempo would be. So, and that's one of those cool things, is that when you don't have a metronome and you can't see it, you have no idea which one is actually the tempo, or you have no idea which one's the actual beat. So if we go back here and let's go and add some string beds. So we're going to stay in C minor for you guys. I was really loud on that. Let's redo that because I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so that's kind of crappy playing, but you get the idea. So let's add some piano to it. So my chords were, that's kind of how it ended. Horrible way to end an 8-bar phrase, but we're just trying to get this sense of stressed and bad feeling out. So that's okay. Here we go. No idea what I'm going to play. Figure it out real quick. Hey, let's just use that melody I was using before. A little bit different, but it's kind of the same pattern. Let's try that. So I kind of help the audience there a little bit. Just say, hey, don't go away from me yet. Okay. So let's do that. And this time I'll add some chords to it. Let's try this again. I like this. This is going well. So one thing that my ear is hearing that it wants to go, because that would actually be this. So I'm going to go in here and change this. So you see kind of when you're in the composing process that your brain kind of tends to go all over the place. So there's that third G, B flat, B. So that whole thing will change. So now I'm going to do this and go back here. Last time. Okay, so something like that. So this kind of gives that, we just kind of covered everything in here. We hit unfocused, we hit sleepy, out of control. Now what you can do is you can take this same chord progression and just spread it out over, 2 or 3 minutes, and the audience is never going to get tired of it, so long as you do things that are interesting in other instruments. So if you keep that pressure, so let's listen to it without that metronome click and just see what it sounds like. Move these down just in case they don't all get picked up here. All right. Let's see what this sounds like. Turn the metronome off. Sorry. Okay, so not the greatest of writing, but you kind of get the idea of what's happening. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with this. I want to thank you guys for sticking with me. I know this is kind of a longer episode, and as I continue to do these, hopefully they won't get super crazy long. Let me pull this back up here, because I would doofus and close it. So that basically covers tired, stressed, busy, bored. So remember, the third is absolutely crucial to anything that you're doing, whether it be happy, sad, tired, fearful, angry, disgusted, any of these. The third is the most critical note, followed by the seventh, and then the root note is my, I think I ended up only saying one of those. So my in order, the most important notes in a chord to convey emotion, in my opinion, are the the third, number 1. Number 2 would be the 7th, and then the third most important would be the root of the chord. So next week we're going to be talking about fear, and so a lot of this we'll kind of talk about can be horror, but not really. We're going to be talking on just being afraid of. This is more of like an emotional fear rather than a physical fear. There's some physical fear in this. We can't get away from that, but this is more of the intellectual fear of what if, or what's going to happen, or answering the what kind of thing. So I want to thank you guys again for checking out this video, and I apologize that it's a little bit on the longer side. So if you watched this entire video, I'm glad, and I hope you guys got a lot out of it. And if you have any questions about what I'm using, just send me a message, and I'll be happy to show and share with you kind of my what instruments I'm using, and I kind of mentioned a few of them. But if you want a more detailed look at what I'm using to get these up, feel free to message me. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week and a wonderful day, and we will talk to you guys later. Happy scoring.